We'd like to give you a short demonstration of the prototype we built for Salford Royal to give you a sense of how the appraisal management system can be adapted for your needs. Now, one of the things we heard loud and clear was that you're happy with the content of your appraisal and that you wanted as little as possible to change. We've also taken into account some of the other information you'd like to see stored on your ideal appraisal management system. If I can take you to our standard setup, the first thing you'll see is that it allows you to offer the doctors a choice of completing an online appraisal here, or of adding an appraisal completed outside the system here. In this case, we'd envisage that being the Word document that you already use, and for a doctor to do so, simply choose a file, which is the standard Word document, choose, and then upload the appraisal. And here is that document ready for your RO or RO delegate to review. And now I'd like to show you a prototype of how that same appraisal can be adapted as a web-based form. By the way, before we go into any detail about the Salford form, it is worth just pointing out that we use videos in this exact format to train doctors and appraisers. So for example, we have a quick start video guide that will give a doctor everything they need to know about how to use this system in under 10 minutes. And of course we can bespoke a video specifically for use with Salford. So let's just go through a few highlights here. What you'll notice now is that we've changed the section headings to be specific to the Salford setup. And if we go into general information and down at the bottom of the form, what we suggest is that the follow-up principles are reflected at the bottom here. And if you press yes, our standard appraiser selection form comes up, where either you can select existing appraisers from the hospital or you can invite an external appraiser. In this case, let's just assume we select an existing appraiser and then we confirm. Also within scope of work, we suggest modifying it so that there's a letter of good standing from any institution which is not Salford, where a doctor also practices, so that if they enter an alternative institution, it automatically stimulates them to seek a letter of good standing from that institution, which is reflected here. I know you're interested in the review of educational practice. Now, one of the things to notice about an online form is it allows you to hide information that might otherwise clutter up a form, and for you to reveal it simply by clicking a help icon such as this with information that a doctor may need to know about filling out the form, along with any active hyperlinks that you want to point the doctor to that can be updated at any time. And then we can go back to the form, and to close the help, simply click it again. The other thing about an online form is it allows you to hide information which is not relevant if it doesn't apply to a given doctor. So for example, if they don't undertake any educational supervision, it simply directs them to the next section. But if they do, it reveals the information that they need. And rather than deleting all that don't apply, you simply put a check in the appropriate box, like so. And you'll also notice all the same domains which appear on your Word form. And now you can simply type into the box. And add a document in the usual way. Now here, what we've done is pre-populated a new set of supporting information taxonomies specific to Salford. In this case, review of educational practice, and this domain 4, enhancing learning through assessment. And type in the title of that activity, date, choose a file, and save and finish. And if we scroll down a bit, you can see that first piece of supporting information added within the correct domain. And what's more, you can open up to see your reflections on this specific piece of supporting information, if any have been added. And you can close that up again. So I think you get the idea of how the bespoking would work without having to go and show you all the other sections. Suffice to say that we'd start with your standard form and then sit down with you to work out precisely how you'd like it bespoked. And just before I end the video, I want to show you one other thing that you brought up in the meeting with us earlier on in the year. We discussed your desire to have a post-appraisal questionnaire sent to the appraisee at the end of the meeting process. And so we'd suggest that as soon as the appraiser locks and submits the appraisal to the revalidation team, an email is automatically sent to the appraisee with a post-appraisal questionnaire. and when they complete it, that questionnaire is logged against the appraiser. Now we already have a Manage Appraisers page, and we suggest that appraisal is logged in this new column here, and we can discuss those details further. But our starting suggestion is the number of questionnaires completed is given a number here, and if there are any causes for concern, to reflect that in a traffic light status on the same column. Again, we can discuss in more detail what constitutes a concern. For example, if a score for any given question is below a certain amount, or the average overall score for any given appraisal is below a certain number, or perhaps the overall average for all questionnaires submitted is below a certain threshold. We can tune that with you. But in general, we suggest that the doctors are organised along a bell curve, where the ones that are average are in grey, and those for concern are either amber or red. And then we have a category which we might call super appraisers. And those are the appraisers for whom there's a good reason to categorise them at the top of the pile. Now it might be that when you come to select appraisers for appraisees, you have a system for doing so. For example, those appraisees for whom you suspect require a better appraiser can be allocated appraisers in the green zone. For example, you may want to allocate a super appraiser for any doctor that's having an appraisal in their revalidation year. We can also discuss with you whether you want us to automate that matching process. If you want to drill down further into any of the post-appraisal questionnaires, you simply click on that column, and then you can see the form in more detail. I'll end this video by saying we welcome an opportunity to sit down with you to work through together just how you'd want to tailor a dedicated appraisal management system for your specific requirements at Salford Royal.